everyone. Welcome to this week's Fireside Creators. I am your host, Reverend Dr. Sherry Palace. I took 2 weeks off for the holidays, and I am so glad to be back. I hope your holidays were drama-free and full of love. For this week's show, we are learning about plant medicine and its uses, and I can't wait to discuss this with our panel. It's got a great panel. Please remember to keep all comments and questions related to the show topic and that this is a safe space. Thank you for joining us, and I'm looking forward to all of your comments and questions. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe. If you're on Facebook, please grant StreamYard access so we can see your name when you have a comment or a question. Thank you in advance, but most of all, thank you for welcoming us into your home and joining this conversation. I appreciate you all. Okay, let's meet our guests. And I'm a little bit scrambled because of being off for 2 weeks, and the guests are also scrambled because it's crazy right now. So bear with me as I load something real quick that I forgot. Just 1 second. This is so embarrassing. There he is. Okay. I'm normally not this unprofessional, just joking. Okay. Here we go. We're almost there. So sorry. Okay. David McRoberts works with a variety of plant medicines, but primarily Kambo. Kambo comes from a frog that lives in the upper Amazon rainforest. David is certified IAKP practitioner, and he does not serve but works with ayahuasca 2 to 3 times a month. Overall, his personal goals are to accomplish his own healing and lead others to the magic behind plant medicines if they feel free to do so, if they feel called to do so. Welcome, David.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
And I know I didn't advertise this because I didn't think Brenda was going to be with us today, but she is, and I am thrilled. Brenda Schmidt was born in Roseville, Minnesota. She graduated from Augsburg University with a BA in Mass Communications and Film. Brenda moved to LA and has worked as an actor for 24 years. Since 2015, she's been a member of the Santo Daime and Pusha Dora, which is a lead singer for the C Dos Anjos, which is the Church of Los Angeles. I just butchered all of that, didn't I? Welcome, Brenda. Glad to have you here. And we lost Roger. Roger will be back. But so let me just go ahead and introduce him. There he is. There we go. Hi, Roger. Roger Woolsey is a spiritual director with the United Methodist pastor and blogger, The Holy Kiss on Pathos, and is the author of The Kissing Fish, Christianity for People Who Don't Like Christianity. Roger is the father of a growing son and enjoys yoga, trail running, playing the trumpet, and nature photography. His new book is called Discovering Fire, Spiritual Practices That Transform Lives. Welcome, Roger. I'm so glad you could be here.
Well, it's an honor to be with you. It's a real delight. Thank you.
Likewise. It's been a while. It's been a couple months since you've been on, and this is the first time for David and Brenda. So welcome, everyone. I am so glad we got to have this chat today. So let's start out with exactly what plant medicine. I mean, I used the sage in the YouTube video promotion, but sage is like the vanilla of plant medicine, right? I mean, David, you talk about Kambo, which something I've never done, and I don't feel called to do so, but it's fascinating. Can you guys start off, David and Brenda, talking about what Kambo is, and then we can move into the other stuff maybe?
Sure. Okay. So Kambo, I mean, it comes from a frog, so I guess you would think it's not really technically a plant medicine.
Okay.
But we just kind of throw it in there with them because they work so closely together with, people that do a lot of plants medicines, ayahuasca stuff. They familiar with Kambo. Now, what Kambo does is it comes from a tree frog, and People would call it a poison or a venom. That's a secretion that's on the frog that protects the frog from its natural predators in the wild, such as snakes or birds, any other kind of predators that might eat a tree frog. And when these animals try to, eat the frog, it'll end up getting the animal that does that. It will get sick, spit the frog out, and unable to, have that frog as a meal. So what you do is you can get that secretion from the frog, and you can apply it. You apply it onto a stick, and that dries. Okay, and then from there, after you get the stick with the combo on it, you would burn three we call gates.
Yeah, see, this is where I went, nope.
Yeah, so combo is definitely one of the more intense. It's one of the more intense things to do. You just burn 3 points. It's just the top layer burn. It's not like anything serious, with just like a little stick or like a little non-scented stick. And then you apply some water onto the stick, get the combo off, get it a little wet, turns into a paste, and then you apply that onto the burns. That goes into your bloodstream, and basically flushes out your system from like all the different toxins. It has a variety of peptides in it.
It accumulates in the bile in your stomach, and thus you purge out the bile.
Like ayahuasca.
Yeah, but this is more intense. I mean, because you're drinking a bunch of water with this. So you're drinking about a half gallon of water to start. And so what it does is it takes, and you don't eat for 7 hours as well beforehand. So it takes all the toxins and whatever metals and stuff that hair dyes that get stuck in your fatty cells into your muscle. Wow. And it dumps it all into the stomach, into the water, and then that comes up. So for instance, like somebody who dyes their hair purple, they might end up throwing up, like you might see a purple tint in it, right?
Really?
Yeah, it's not totally uncommon. You see a lot of stuff, black sludge. You can see it can flush out parasites.
Wow, I had no idea. I thought it was for emotional healing. I didn't know it was actual for physical healing.
Right, which you're both. I guess you could say that physical and emotional could be linked together in a sense, right? How you feel emotionally, you normally don't feel the best physically.
True.
You're not feeling good physically. You're not feeling the best emotionally. So that being said, combo, it's more intense. It can be a lot for emotional, a lot of spiritual realizations on it, antidepressant, anti-anxiety, and it actually has the same benefits as like morphine, and is considered to be, it's understand that like a lot of studies haven't been on this, but what the information that we do have is like, that's it's actually more potent than morphine, because it works with the same receptors.
Interesting.
That morphine does, except for there's no come down from combo. So you're not gonna have like a withdrawal that you would if you were to do morphine or like heroin or something like that, where you'd feel the withdrawal and you feel the need to take it again. This is just kind of like you're feeling great for like 2 or 3 days, and you're great, and a lot more energy, feel light.
Colors are more vibrant. Your senses are stronger and more keen.
Interesting. Roger, have you done combo?
No, I know people who have, and it's been powerful for them. Absolutely transformative. Yeah.
I know someone who broke a heroin addiction taking combo. Yeah. He swears by it. Said that it completely changed his life and that nothing else had ever helped. But again, the whole pain and the burning thing kind of shied me away because I'm such a baby. But, it's like, okay. So Roger, what you've done ayahuasca. We talked about that when you were on the show a couple months ago. Have you tried any other plant medicines or anything like that?
Yeah, so the things in the ballpark that I've done, ayahuasca, psilocybin, MDMA, which is a more synthesized lab-made kind of thing. Those are the 3 that I've had experience with. Only 4 experiences with ayahuasca, but 4 experiences with ayahuasca is a lot. Actually, it's a doozy. Yeah. And maybe around 9 experiences with psilocybin, and 4 with MDMA. Ayahuasca is probably comparable to the combo in that it packs a wallop. It's one of the more intense plant medicines that a person could take. It's a combination of two vines, and when mixed together, basically create a DMT that your brain really responds to. But it's not like a straight DMT experience, which might last 7 to 15 minutes. This is more of a 4 to 5 hour kind of journey, usually done in a ceremonial ritual setting with music and shaman guides. But it packs a wallop. The purging is rather frequent.
It sucks.
Yeah. So meaning puking, but it's not the gross kind of puke, because people are on a specific diet for 10 days leading up to it. And
ideally.
Ideally. Otherwise, I mean, if you bring in salts and oils and fats in those 10 days, you're going to have a diminished experience. So you really ought to have as clean a diet as you can leading up to it. Otherwise, maybe you're wasting your money. And when the purging happens, and it's understood as your body bringing out what it no longer is serving, could be entities. There's different understandings of it, but it's not the gross kind of stuff in the school hallway. It's a very different kind of thing, but it's not a fun experience. So there
it's
is
not a party.
So this will never be a recreational drugs that kids will do in the garage. It's not that. It's much more healing intention. Now, psilocybin is much more accessible, and my experiences there have varied. It can be giggle recreational, or it can be profoundly intentional, medicinal, therapeutic. And the journey can be more on the friendly, gentle side, or it can be more on the profound Shazam side. It can range. Sometimes they use the word adaptogens. And so it's this notion is that the plant, sometimes Pachamama, whatever you want to refer to it, she has an intelligence and knows what you're needing, and provides the experience you need in your moment, as sort of assesses where you're at, what you're needing. I can't fully testify to that, but I've experienced healing, and I'm grateful for the healings that I've had. I'm just sharing the wisdom around it. Psilocybin is much more accessible. It's a magic mushroom, is people know it as.
Well, and that forever has been a party drug, right? I mean, but they have been using or testing for PTSD with shrooms. They have been doing all of those types of things to try and establish some type of clinical need for it, and it's showing great stuff. Brenda, I've got a question for you. You are a member. In fact, let me show you the pictures that I was sent. And this is your Daime church, right?
Yeah, maybe I sent you a video. Yeah, that is Soto Sanjos is a church of Los Angeles. There's churches in pretty much most major cities in the United States. Comes from originally the jungles of Brazil. I believe it started in Mapia. And so this is the Los Angeles church. This was New Year's Eve. But typically it's the men on one side, the women on another side, and it's many rows of people. The middle, inside the middle, like underneath the yellow, there's a star-shaped table with a cross, a two-pronged cross. The musicians sit around the table. And then the next line is the elders of the church, meaning like the long-term members or the leaders, the head guardians, essentially people who've been designated in the church that help assist others as they go through passages. That's a picture that's David in the front next to the leader, behind the cross. And this is a dance work. There's different styles of ayahuasca works we do. We do dance works, we do seated works called kudas, which are healing works. This is a celebratory work because it's New Year's Eve, and so we're celebrating, yet still going through passages and still drinking. We drink about 5 or 6 rounds of Daime, which is ayahuasca, which is like the other gentleman here, Roger, said it's a mix of the jagubi vine and the hyena plant. We have Feichios, which is where we go to Big Island in Hawaii, where we make our ayahuasca called the sense of Daime. We call it the Daime. Many times a year we go and make a pilgrimage there, and we spend like a week getting up at 4 a.m., The men get up early, they pound the jagubi and they sing hymns while drinking ayahuasca. And then the women get together and we gather separate from the men. We all wear like different kinds of, like, the women wear all white clothing and like long skirts, and we sing our own hymns, but we clean the leaves of the hyena plant. So the men are in charge of the vine, the women are in charge of the leaf. So it's like respectively like a masculine vine and the feminine leaf.
Okay.
So we mix them together and we create this sacrament for our doctrine. And we're a legal organization because we're a religion. So we drink many times a month, sometimes like up to maybe 6 times a month, almost every weekend.
So do you puke every time?
Yeah. Not every time, but I kind of look at it as you go through different types of passages of purging. There's like crying is a purge, there's pooping, there's throwing up, there's sweating, there's yawning,
and sometimes you can even go through a passage and like I can just go and like cough and like hack up some like spit and then be back within like 2 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Like I can just, because you've done it to a point where you're starting to become familiar with the plant, with the medicine, right? So you start to be able to function on it, so you can kind of operate. As in, like in the beginning, sometimes you might be laid out for longer. So.
I held a ceremony years ago, and at my house in Florida, and my son participated, and he ate a bacon cheeseburger before. He did not mind his diet. He did not mind the refrain from electronics. And out of the 10 of us, I think there was, he had the best experience. He laughed the entire time. He didn't throw up. I'm in the bathroom puking my guts out. Another friend had shit so much she never left the bathroom. And my son, who broke every single rule that was supposed to be there, was seeing visions from God and showing how I'm laying in bed totally traumatized over everything that's going on. So I can't even reconcile the need to, prevent certain things from coming in your body and all of those things, and witness what I saw. I mean, it was like, wait a minute, I haven't eaten shit in 10 days. And he just had a bit.
It's in the beginning when I first started drinking, it was like 4.5 years ago. I would do that and like do the diet and like think I needed to fast. And then now it's like so often, right?
Yeah.
It's like sometimes we just wait and it wouldn't be time. And so now in these dance works are equivalent to like almost 7 miles sometimes dancing. So you're dancing in like a certain
for 8 hours straight.
For 8 hours straight singing.
Yeah.
So I'm personally, Brenda not, and some people not, but there's some people like myself that helps me like to eat during the process. So it's not, I don't eat anything like completely unhealthy. I mean, I have eaten like, bacon and eggs and a whole breakfast before.
That's like in the rules. You're not supposed to.
Not in our church, in the daimi,
okay.
It's just a little different. It's a little different than the traditional ayahuasca circles because you're doing it so much that like, some people might sit once a month in an ayahuasca circle, but like sometimes we'll have to do it like, Saturday, Sunday, and then do it the next weekend. And then maybe we'll travel to go to see a certain person.
A church in another city and help their church out and sing with them.
Oh, okay.
We're doing it so often that you learn what your body can do. Like there's no like strong rule of thumb in our church, but we don't also have we're not like the traditional kind of like ayahuasca ceremony where you lay down in the dark and you have like, a Peruvian shaman like over you, like working on you like spiritually. Like we don't have that in our doctrine. It's like we're all a part of a group that works simultaneously to bring like the energy level up and the singing and the healing cumulatively. So it's a little bit different. We don't do it in the dark. We do it in the daytime, in the light, with the lights on. There's no sleeping over. There's like, as soon as the work is done, we have a potluck, we go home. It's like, it's a lot different. So it's cool to have Roger's perspective because he's a totally different.
I mean, for me, it's much more expensive generally to do ayahuasca compared to psilocybin. And so I'd rather err on the side of getting the most for my dollar. And again, it's been infrequent that I've done it. It's only 4 journeys. The rule that probably is a stronger one that pertains to both ayahuasca and psilocybin, if a person has been taking antidepressant medicine or anti-anxiety medicine, it's really a good idea to be off of that for 6+ weeks beforehand. I have definitely seen people that didn't follow that rule and had really bad, horrible experiences.
Yeah, anybody who's taking mood stabilizers,
Yeah.
antipsychotics, anything that might, the rule of thumb, I normally work with people in any kind of plant med, people that want combo, people that want any kind of, I also serve another medicine. I work with another medicine called Bufo. It comes from a toad. It's 5-MeO-DMT. I have a lot of experience with that. And anybody who comes to me with something that they say that takes at least 2 weeks to get into your system, I generally won't work with that. Anybody like that, not anything against them, but because those mood stabilizers, right?
Yeah.
What are they called? SSRIs.
Yeah, SSRIs and
those, anything like that. Because if somebody is on, say, for example, Xanax, right, and they stop taking that like 2 days before, and they have a ceremony, and then you do combo, and it flushes it out of its system, you can take another Xanax, and it'll balance you back out in 45 minutes. But with Prozac or something like that, it takes 2 weeks to start balancing back out. So yeah, you have to be, you're definitely, Roger's definitely correct. So you have to be careful when it comes to.
I have heard everything from it being deadly to it being completely ineffective if you're taking these, because it is I'm at a loss where the SSRIs prohibit and the Aya needs it. What is that? The
Serotonin.
Yeah, no. Roger, do you know? It's
Well, I know with MDMA, there's a huge serotonin dump that happens, and you're
afterwards
depleted the next day. With ayahuasca and psilocybin, I've not heard of deaths because of the interaction, but I have heard of horrible, miserable experiences where they would never want to do it again.
Oh, okay.
Didn't get any benefit at all from the experience.
What do you?
Because of the contradiction with the certain meds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it can cause something called serotonin syndrome.
Is that what you're referring? That's what I thought you maybe you're referring to.
No, it's there's a term for it where it's an inhibitor. The SSRIs are an inhibitor, and the DMT needs that to work.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So, I have just heard that it's just worthless. Like, why even do anything if you're taking this stuff?
Yeah, because, or it could send somebody, like really high, and then they have a crash, or because you're having this thing that's just basically keeping you like this mood stabilizer, and then all of a sudden you're like messing with it.
Yeah. Now, what's really interesting is there's been lots of studies. Even the Veterans Administration has been showing that people who do an ayahuasca journey or psilocybin journey, even just one journey, can help tend to prescription medicine resistant depression and often 6 months out, it still has been effective. So it is in fact increasingly being used as a treatment for certain kinds of depression. And ayahuasca, as I understand it, is being used in prisons in Brazil, and with great effect to help inmates break addictions. So just like the combo, ayahuasca, psilocybin can help some people break free from various addictions to substances that are not helpful to the body. And other things as well. There's various other physical and emotional trauma, PTSD, profoundly helpful. So this is not just a renaissance in terms of small pockets of people doing these things, but at higher levels, Johns Hopkins University and various big studies are happening, and it's being prescribed. Colorado just made psilocybin legal. And before that, was it Portland, Oregon? And Oregon itself did that. So we're going to see more states doing this because it just flat out is profoundly effective. It really makes a profound difference.
There are some studies. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I'm a little saddened that in some respects it might be desacramentalized and done in a more clinical, sterile prescription manner. But if it helps people, it helps people. My preference is to do it with a facilitator, shaman type folk, but help is help. You know, all healing is of God. It's all of spirit in the many ways. I have a preference for the more earthy ritual side, ceremonial, but whatever works for people is.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine doing ayahuasca in a hospital or a
right.
No,
that would
I don't
be,
even know if that.
I don't know if it would work. I think you could
I mean, I know
more
that
trauma.
they have
I
done.
think you could cause more trauma.
Right?
Maybe
You
so.
could,
They
you know what I mean?
do
Because people are
much
so open. Ketamine, I think, is working because you're completely gone, and it has a different effect. But with the ayahuasca and stuff like that, I think, and it's like with Bufo, the 5-MeO-DMT. That's why these things, if you're not careful, because people are so sensitive and raw when you're doing this, because what you're doing is you're removing your basically your self-identity, you know, of like who you think you are. You're stepping out of that and like you become more open, so you're more raw. And if the person that you're with, if they don't know, like if they're inexperienced and they can actually cause more trauma, is basically what I'm trying to say.
Oh, totally. I mean, one of the sessions that I had at my house, the shaman had brought her husband and they were fighting.
Yes,
and there was definitely, I mean, they were in the other room, all of that, but there was definitely a different vibe. Mm-hmm. She was getting upset because he was like, they're tripping, let them do their own. And he wanted to spend time. It was all this big drama. Mm. But every time I've done it, it has healed something in me that no psychiatrist, no therapist, no friend, no family, nothing ever could have. Things that I couldn't even identify were transformed. There were so much, I mean, granted, it was hard. You know, when they say that ayahuasca is 10 years of therapy in 4 hours, that is 10 years of processing too, you know? So you think, I mean, at least I did. I was like, yes, boot camp style healing. Let's do this. And then after it was done, I cried for like 12 hours going, I don't like what I was told. I don't like it. But then I had to accept it and go, okay, this is the way it is. Let's go ahead and heal. And I am a completely different person because of doing it. I am more healed. I am more solid. I said it before on the show, for like 40 years, I woke up every single morning, almost every single morning, in a panic attack, hyperventilating, shaking, waking up every morning like that. And the first ayahuasca experience healed that. I still don't know what it was or what caused it, but it hasn't happened since. And that was in itself truly life transforming. I mean, literally, I woke up in a panic attack. So don't talk to me in the morning. But now that doesn't happen. I wake up, I say hi to my dogs, and everything's different. Totally changed my life.
So some of those changes are surprising, like the one you just described. Like there's a before and after, it's obvious. Yeah. And you might not have had any intention for that to happen, but that's in fact what happened. The experiences that I've been a part of tend to be the type that say set an intention at the beginning of the journey. Now, the plant may or may not have your intention in mind. It might say, well, I hear you say that, but we're actually going here. But nonetheless, you have an intention. And at the end of the experience, I think it's super helpful to do integration work. So the next day, write about it and share with others. And then 1 week later, check in with each other. And 1 month later, check in with each other. And the more integration work, the better to get the most out of the experience. Now, some people don't do as much of that, but for me, it's helpful to have integration be part of it. So it's not just a one-off, but really getting the most out of it.
When I did it in Costa Rica, which was the first 2 times I had done it, it's a DIME center. But the integration work, in fact, they've changed it recently. I just saw a post on Facebook about how they're going to be adding that more. But the integration work was more with fellow people doing the Aya. So like I'm asking, what the fuck was I just shown? I'm angry, I'm mad, I am totally, and they were able to calm me down just from the camaraderie of it. I would imagine, David and Brenda, that that's just part of your church, right?
Oh, with the helping people integrate?
Yeah. The lessons, the healing, all of that.
The healing, the way that the church works, there's definitely a very good sense of community there. And it can be actually very difficult sometimes because a lot of the healing is coming up on each other.
We're like such a close knit group of people.
Because you're drinking powerful hallucinogenics with people, and you're
the same
doing
group of people over and over,
hundreds of times. So you become connected, and you love your brothers and sisters, but you just want to strangle them at the same time. And
a lot of the healing comes up for that. You see a lot of your own habits,
your own shit, their shit
with one another.
With their, people that you might have 2 years ago, we could just drive me up the wall, who now I think are the most amazing people. Because they've worked through their shit, and you're working through it together.
That's a good thing about being in a community for many, many years is as new people arrive and then join the church, and you see what they were like when they came, and then years and years later you see who they become, who they really are, letting go of all of the fakeness or the who they think they should be as opposed to who they really are truly inside. And then I get that reflection from people all the time too, being like, oh my God, when you arrived, da 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 da, and I'm like, I don't want to hear about it, but it's nice to see that reflection from other people who know you and feeling it within yourself at the same time.
I mean, the amount of support that you get from this particular community, which I'm sure there's other communities out there, but from this particular community is it's I've never found anything like it or seen anything like it, because if I were to go be kicked out of my place tomorrow, I would have a number of places to go to.
Community is really important.
You know what I mean? For many months, I could just go to places and people would take us in and stuff like that. There's always a sense of support there, and which helps.
We don't have that the kind of hand. I guess I shouldn't say not to sound, but kind of the hand holding mentality after, where we do the sharing stick and the talking, and everybody kind of psychoanalyzes one another, which is beautiful in itself, and that's great. But I think because we go so often and so much that we just do our own work at this point, and we kind of go through our own stuff. And there's a lot of the community is made up of therapists themselves, different types of
life coaches,
doctors, lawyers,
people that run production studios,
entertainment industry people, actors, artists. So it's kind of cool because you find the people in your community that that's their strength. You can sit and have a conversation with them after and talk for a couple hours about what you experienced. But I do think ultimately, when the center diamond, it's about doing your own work and processing your work yourself.
Totally.
Going back in and revisiting it. And sometimes you don't know what that is for many, many ceremonies.
And generally, the way that the format's laid out, it's structured in such a way where you're singing certain things on certain dates for certain reasons, or you're singing a certain scenario made up of certain songs, hymns, right? A book of hymns that you sing annually, right? And sometimes a couple times a year. And it takes you through certain healing processes, and it's kind of the padrinos and the elders have laid this and mapped this out so that it kind of, this whole process is a healing
Each
process.
hymn invokes something different. It invokes going deeper into different parts of your psyche. Some go into some hymns will have 4 or 5 hymns in a row that go that go deep into a heavy emotional place. There's hymns about crying, about about looking at all of the parts of yourself that you don't want to look at, and it's in Portuguese. So, but it doesn't even matter if you don't understand via the language, you sort of inherently get it. It's the beauty of being on ayahuasca. Right?
I think I told David when I did, it was the second night of Aya in Costa Rica, and I was trying to wrap my head around what I had been told all night. It was the morning, and they start the morning with the songs and all of that. And in their hymnals, it was in Spanish, and I understood it. I could read it. I don't speak Spanish. It was, and I'm reading it going, oh my God, this was my entire trip last night. Oh my God, this was my entire trip. And my fiance at the time was like, what are you talking about? You don't even speak Spanish. I was like, this is what this says. And it was just so I mean, those types of things stick with you. I'm still trying to reconcile some of the stuff that I was told and that I've seen and trying to get through it. But my intention has always been kind of vague. Like Roger talked about, my intention has been give me what I need to get through to the next thing. Where do I need to heal? You know, like more of just a bring it on type thing, which I was warned about and didn't heed that warning until I was crying the next day going, okay, be easy on me. But because of the intense pain, because of the intense healing, again, some people go, oh, it's a party drug. There's no way. There's no way ayahuasca is a party drug in any way, shape, or form. I mean, you never want to go to someone's party and end up shitting in their toilet the entire time or puking your guts out in a bucket.
And that's why we call what we do. We call them works. We call our ceremonies works because at the end of it, it's like work. It is. It's a lot. You're tired, you know. So yeah, it's not.
Roger,
go ahead, Roger.
Well, I didn't have any particular thing to share other than this is, in fact, a growing phenomenon. I mean, the fact that you're choosing to do this as a focus of a podcast is indicative of the word is getting out.
Yeah.
And it's not a matter of if, but when more states are going to be at least decriminalizing, if not outright legalizing. And hopefully it happens at the federal level, especially when it pertains to ayahuasca. I'm okay with ayahuasca in a way staying in a religious mode, but it does make it somewhat inaccessible and hard. And it really ought to be changed from the schedule that the feds have it at. It should be definitely changed. Frankly, all of them should be. The people freaked out in the 60s and went too far. And a lot of people could be a lot more healed. And who knows, as a nation, as a world, how things could be better if more people had more access to more healing modalities. It's tragic, but here we are. There's a renaissance, and I hope that more folks get up to speed. I'll do a quick little plug for the book, Discovering Fire. It's aimed at spiritual but not religious people who have allergy about organized religion, and also people in organized religion that have wariness, allergy about spiritual but not religious people, and trying to be an ambassador to help both sides reduce allergy, learn more, see how these practices have made a difference in at least one person's life, and maybe increase appreciation that spirit really is at work in all of these sectors, all these ways, and we can play better in the sandbox together. I hope that can happen. It needs to happen. So if nothing else, those who are Christian oriented and are wondering about these things, well, here's a United Methodist pastor talking about it. Go ahead and see what you think. I'm not saying all Christians need to do this, but I certainly want more people to be aware of it and have access to it.
Well, and they have been doing mushroom therapy on people dying.
Yep.
And it has transformed them. It eliminates fear. They feel more into love. Ketamine, which is not a plant derivative, but that is being used to invoke near-death experiences and help with trauma. Ayahuasca has been used for over 5,000 years. And in fact, I had seen when my dog inadvertently ate some of the vomit during one of our ceremonies, changed her too. She was a total freak before that, totally mellowed her out. But we had to do all kinds of research going, oh my God, is my dog going to die? Do I need to go to the vet right now? But in the Amazonian forest, nursing mothers will put it on their nipples for the babies. And that shocked me. It was like, how is this going? But there is so much belief in healing of pain and trauma, and even from the birth in the Amazon, that they feel like that needs to happen. So anytime that we can get the government out of our lives, especially when it involves emotional and traumatic healing, we should do it. You know, as long as there is a safety standard, as long as people aren't dying or being stupid about it. And a religion is a great way to do it. I mean, that's the way to get around the federal laws, like you guys have done here in California.
Yeah, to touch on, I've met, there's quite a few people that we know that were given ayahuasca while they were in the womb. And so, you know,
Wow.
yeah, and some of those people, they still have their stuff to work on, but some of those people, some of them are, you're like, wow, like this person is like an exceptional human being, totally like Zen, like mellow, and all of them are, yeah, they're definitely,
that's a gamble.
It definitely doesn't do anything. I wouldn't definitely could say that it doesn't do anything that's going to cause harm.
Yeah, no, children drink it in the daime with consent, and
yeah, I mean, all the children at the Daime Center in Costa Rica, they were all involved. They were singing and dancing with us or playing. Yeah, and I would just look at them going, what a childhood you have, seeing all these people come through and seeing all of this, but they were so sweet and so loving. The in utero kind of freaks me out a little bit. That I guess that would, if you're truly believing in that, but if
I think pregnant women take things that are a lot worse. Given to them by the medical profession, you know what
True.
I mean? And a lot of words, just the whole trauma of the way babies are born in a hospital setting and the way that the procedure takes place is very traumatic, right?
Yeah.
So I think the least of our worries would be if people were drinking ayahuasca.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one to judge for life as a pregnant woman. So yeah, I mean, my doctor said just cut down on the cigarettes.
Right. You know what I mean? And now I think now that we're learning that, like, we're learning that I think, at least I am, but I think as a society, like when we were younger, it's like you're born and, you don't have these traumas that are carried down from your parents. But now it's coming to realize, I think these traumas were passed down at conception.
Yeah.
From your parents. Right. So it's like the amount, the stuff that's like how important pregnancy is, and has probably come to light in the last couple decades.
Totally.
As a kid, it was completely different, right? Like it wasn't that big of a deal. If you're in the stomach, you can't feel anything. It used to kind of be the
mentality.
Yeah, like I said, the doctors just said, "Oh, just cut down your smoking, you'll be fine."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's fainty babies when they come out,
Roger, I know that you are on a time crunch.
Yeah, I've got to pop off to another church meeting.
Okay, let me go ahead and let's give one more.
I've got one last little thing to share. For those that are Christian oriented or curious, there is a relatively new organization called Ligare, Ligare, ligare.org. And it's a Christian psychedelic guild. And Hunt Priest is the director. And they are getting clergy and chaplains, spiritual directors together and having them experience guided journeys, mostly using psilocybin, and helping them become ambassadors. And so this is a organization that's really advocating to help expand consciousness and have some laws changed. Yeah.
Fantastic. I am so appreciative for you to join. I know you had to hop off. That was kind of our deal. Show your book one more time. I have your web address up for everybody that's out there.
Yeah, sure. Discovering Fire, Spiritual Practices That Transform Lives. Amazon is the easiest way to get it. And there's even an audio book out now that just came out 4 weeks ago.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I will be hitting you up soon, Roger. So look for an email from me, but thanks again for being on.
Pleasure to meet you all. I'm next. If I'm in LA again, I'd love to visit you all and experience what you're up to. So
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll go with you.
You live there, don't you?
Yeah.
I thought so. All right.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll do a thing. Okay.
Stay tuned. All right.
Thanks, Roger.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, Roger.
All right.
Oh, let me go ahead and boot him. That's literally the first guest I've ever booted. 125 shows. I finally get to boot someone. So, okay. So we were talking now. What was I going to say? So tell me more about, at your church, and I know we're going to do a show next month or maybe March about the church in general, and talking about all of that. But are there any other, I'm a big, I know what I wanted to say. Joel, I have to disagree with you. Let me find out your comments. This is Joel. He's a good friend of mine and he's an avid watcher. And he says that I will say that all Christians need ayahuasca. I have a small dispute with that. I think everyone over the 18 years old needs ayahuasca. I believe that the entire planet would have peace if people were able to heal and stuff like that. So yes, Christians, definitely. There's a lot of healing just from the indoctrination, the trauma, all of the shit storms of you're unworthy, God doesn't really love you if, all of those things could be healed from ayahuasca. But I think we would have world peace if more people were able to partake in that level of healing. And I'm sure David and Brenda, you would agree.
Yeah, I agree with that in some sense. I think that I don't know if it's for everybody. I don't know. Some people are
and I have had some friends that went to, there's no way I could handle it. So I guess that, that would be the type of thing that sometimes it's just too much for some people.
Yeah, it's too much for people. I just don't know if maybe it is for them, but I just probably wouldn't want to be there when they did do it.
I mean, like in like our church, we're not supposed to invite. We don't like ever encourage people to come. We don't invite people to come. We're not trying to get money from anybody. It's donation based, whatever. But I think the reason behind that is they see it spiritually more as a calling rather than let's find someone to heal and drag them in, kicking and screaming.
Totally.
Or you convince someone that they need the help and they probably do, but they come in, but it's just like they're not mentally and emotionally stable enough for that, or they're not ready to like do the work that needs to get them off the drugs.
It definitely has to be something that they really want to do, or
it brings up a lot.
Or we've seen people that some disasters happen if you don't listen to it.
Your life can get worse.
Things don't go well.
Yeah. Well, and like you and I discussed, Brenda, over lunch about, it's kind of like someone who doesn't want to go to therapy. If you don't want to go to therapy, then it's not going to work. You're not going to put into it. You're not going to do what you need to do.
Yeah. It's got to be like someone really has to want it for themselves. And ultimately, that's the whole point is like even seeing healers are wonderful. Everybody has a gift to heal is my philosophy. Like you just need, if you don't know what it is, you could search for it and find it. But we heal ourselves. Ultimately, that's the point, is finding it within to heal yourself, right? Each person finding it. So when you come into the daime, you kind of have to come in with a yearning and a wanting, or ayahuasca or psilocybin, or, whenever you do these plant medicines, it's got a deep yearning from within.
Yeah, I mean, my ex did it to party. I mean, and he was pretty open about it. And I was like, dude, you need to heal. But the last time he did it, I went in and checked on him. And he said, I am seeing the worst things ever. I am seeing absolute horrible things that I've done. And he said, oh my God, what I've done to you. I said, okay, go with it, feel it, heal those things. And he said, no. Absolutely not. And then he got up and walked around, and 3 different people saw evilness in his face. One of my friends actually left the room because she couldn't even look at him. So that it was really bizarre. Oh, and that was the other thing I wanted to ask. When my son, this same woman who had seen the devil in my ex, was laying on the couch next to my son, and they were touching. And at one point I got up because my dog was laying next to me, and I was like, I'm only feeling my dog's love. I need to heal. So I put my dog away. But they had a really interesting thing happen where Joey, my son, tapped on Darcy and said, your grandmother's talking to you. She says, and he said the word, and she was already in a conversation with her grandmother. Those two barely even knew each other. And they were feeding off of each other in this crazy, beautiful chemistry of listen, touch, feel, in complete, nothing sexual or anything, but just community right there. And him being able to say, listen to what you're being told was like beyond me. Do you see that ever in your church? Or is he truly just a freak?
No, we see all sorts of, we've seen so many things. I mean, you name it. Everything.
Yeah. I thought somebody, a couple of weeks ago, I thought I've never seen anything like this. Guy completely was gone. Couldn't move, was like comatose. And he came back though with the biggest healing.
He looked like he died.
I thought he died.
Were all like,
I thought he died.
never seen this in 10 years.
Wow.
I've never seen this in 10 years. The first.
And then the leader of the
It's
church is like,
crazy.
it's fine. I've seen it before. It's totally fine.
He's like, I've seen it once in 25, so this is rare.
He's like, everything's gonna be totally fine. And the guy came out of it. He's totally fine.
But he was down for hours and hours, and he was pale and like.
But he's breathing.
Wow.
Barely, but yes, he was. And he came out of me and was like, I had total peace, and I had this God experience
with Jesus.
It was with Jesus.
Just Jesus. He felt this immense love from Jesus. He met Jesus, he said.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you definitely see some interesting things. You see some stuff. You see some stuff for sure. Like thinking about it. Yeah, you see some, it's not, you know.
People who get naked and go up and like turn into other kind of people. And that's not common, but that's happened. You know, it's very unique experience. We did it within our church. There's a lot of talk about mediumship, which is like being a channel. And there's a lot of people who channel different deities and speak in tongue. And, you know, it's like, yeah, it's a lot of different.
So what advice would you give to any of our listeners who are contemplating doing something like this, looking to heal or experiment, reach the divine, all that good stuff?
My advice would be make sure that whatever you're doing, it could be mushrooms, it could be MDMA, it could be any of these things. But the main thing is to make sure you do it in a controlled environment.
Yeah, safe.
Definitely. What we call it a controlled container, so that way you're contained. Don't have anything unexpected coming up. If you're going to do it with somebody there, if you're inexperienced, you should do it with somebody who's a little bit more experienced than yourself. If you're inexperienced, make sure you're doing the right dosage. It's better to start slow than to go all the way in, and that way you can take more later, but you can never take less.
Yeah.
Once you've taken it, right?
The first night I did it, I actually asked for some more. And the wife of the shaman came over and I said, I'm not feeling anything yet. You know, it's just not. And she goes, sure you are. You're smiling. And I was like, oh no, I always do this. Please give me more. And then she finally did. And I was like, okay, now I can go. But most people were completely going at it with the one shot. And I think I needed 3 that night just to be able to get over the edge.
Everybody's different. I've seen some people that can drink a lot. My tolerance has changed. For sometimes I've been able to drink tons, a lot of glasses, and then it went to like I can only drink a little bit for the next year or so. And then now it's kind of, my tolerance seems to be building back up. On ayahuasca, that's just ayahuasca. But like I said, I think to go back on what you're saying, that my advice would definitely be a controlled container to make sure you do it in the right setting. You have somewhat of an intention. Like even MDMA, like it's not something that, you know, teenagers take that and go out and party. You know, now it's rare since we drink so much ayahuasca that I take it, but do that in a controlled setting with somebody with an intention, maybe obviously your partner, and then you can, like, you know.
Can I add into that too? I would really suss out who you're doing medicine with. Nowadays, there's so many people who go and they'll go on a retreat in Costa Rica and be like, I've decided I'm going to serve medicine. There's a lot of people who don't really have that much experience doing it. And charging an exorbitant amount of money is a big thing now. Like people who charge like over 250, 300, 400. Now it's like, you know, 500,000. And I'm like, let me see what you've been doing. You know, like how many years, what lineage are you from? What tribe in the jungle? Let me do some research on that. Let me talk to some people because
oh my God, white people doing ayahuasca. Yeah, white people doing ayahuasca in Costa Rica is taken over, and they're charging like $3,000 to $5,000 a week.
It's tourism now.
It's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I think we go to our church and it's like they ask for like, what is it?
$100 if you have it.
If not, you give $50. I've gone when I had
$5
4 years ago when I first started out, not like any money. This one time I went and they didn't even charge me.
But I mean, we're in a religion. It's a little different thing.
It's different. That's what we're not. But that's the kind of mentality that's
if you can't afford it, you can get it.
And that's what you kind of want to.
And that's the way it should be. You know, if it's not, because it's not a party, because it's not a good time, the healing should be offered. I mean, if you believe in a God, if you believe in the universe or whatever, you can totally say that this was given to us as something to heal. I mean, the story behind ayahuasca in itself is insane, that one comes from one side of the Amazon, the other comes from the other, and they were brought together because the mother goddess told them to do it. So that in itself is like a miracle. But to say, well, you have to have enough money to heal is capitalistic bullshit. I cannot buy into.
And if you're going to go to a private practitioner, like, like I said, a serve combo, but there has to be an exchange. Obviously, it just has to be in balance. Like, so I'm going to expect to get paid to like sit there with somebody for several hours. If it's just me and them, and they want me to serve combo or do like bufo or something, then I'm gonna want to get paid for my experience. But there has to be a check and balance system. And there's no way I could afford to go to private ayahuasca ceremonies as much as I go to Daime. I could never afford that. It would be.
And I'll just say for everyone out there again, it tastes like shit. It really does. So not only will you purge, not only will you get all of this healing, but then the first thing is you have to get it down. I relate it to Jägermeister in dirt. That's the way I say it, is what it tastes like. If you were to mix Jägermeister with some dirt, to me, that's what ayahuasca tastes like. You guys are looking at me funny. Do you not agree?
I mean, it can have a fermented taste.
The fermentation is what makes it.
It can have a fermented taste. Some of it could be a little bit worse than others.
The most potent ayahuasca we've had is called Mel, which is essentially when they cook down the ayahuasca to 9 times and it turns into like a gel almost. And it's sweet like honey. But it'll like a teaspoon of that will take you into a whole nother stratosphere.
Yeah, my last ayahuasca experience, that actually happened because I forgot it was on the stove. And it completely cooked down. I was pouring water in it going, oh my God, wait, because we only had a little bit. Yeah, that was one of the best ones. It was an amazing experience. But yeah, in hindsight, now that you're saying that, I think I would have rather have had just a little bit of gel as opposed to drinking that. Oh, it's so bad. I can't believe you guys do it every month. You guys are rock stars. Rock stars of healing.
Yeah, it's all about the music. And,
Well, and that's why the Daime Center in Costa Rica is called the Sound of Light. So it's all about the music there too. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We are at the top of the hour. Any final words, and where can people find you?
You can find me at comboforza.com, comboforza@gmail.com. You can link up with me there if anybody's interested in, in having any more questions answered. I don't have a book, but
you don't have to have a book,
valuable resource.
But I can answer any questions if anybody wants any questions, wants to look more, ask about what we talked about today, or they're interested in trying combo or any other thing that I have different retreats that come up down in Mexico for bufo and stuff like that. So make sure they can reach me at that website or my email, comboforza@gmail.com.
Any questions? We're a good resource to like guide you to solid ayahuasca practitioners. I mean, we don't sell.
And if you're not looking for the Daime experience, because it's this particular type of person that's their flavor, totally understandable, no hard feelings. But if somebody wants to be referred to somebody in the States that we know that we can trust, that we give them off.
Fantastic.
Hand you off to somebody else that we know that is only going to. You got to remember, these people that are serving ayahuasca, you have to trust them because they can call in all sorts of crazy stuff. And if you don't know what they're calling in, they go down and they do these dietas with these plants and stuff like that. You want to be careful because they could be calling in the thorny bush plant. It's like that's a heavy spirit, and like calling into the ceremony.
We'll save those stories.
I'll save those stories for later, but
okay.
It's important. Just
fun stories.
If you're looking at doing it, feel free to reach out and we can point you in the right direction.
Okay, fantastic. Brenda, any final words, and where can people find you?
Oh, I'm with David. I come and I'm assisting him. I sing, I play instruments, I help him.
Okay.
Follow David, you'll find me.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to send you backstage and close the show. Thank you guys so much. This was a fantastic show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Another great show, another great week. I love learning things from fantastic people. If you like the show, share it, like it, all of that good stuff. Next week, we are talking to the team from the 1946 movie. I am so excited. It's a fabulous team. And the 1946 movie is about when homosexuality was added to the Bible in 1946. Fantastic doc. If you can see it, watch it before next Tuesday, and I will have everybody on that show. I can't wait. Have a wonderful week. Thank you for watching. And as always, walk in love. Mwah! See ya.